This meeting is being recorded.
Hey guys, it's Coach KJ, and I'm here with another segment of Shelva's Help, where we talk about opportunities and resources for families and individuals going through the process of managing autism. Today, I'm here with two experts, two gurus on autism from TEACCH. TEACCH is a collaborative university program which offers clinical training and research insight for persons with autism and their families and professionals, and persons with families and professionals in the community. So a little bit about TEACCH and a little bit about what's coming up with them. So we want to talk about transitioning, like what happens post high school. A lot of times people will wait a little later to look into it, but Glenna's going to tell us about the importance of looking into it sooner. Just recently, TEACCH was awarded a grant from the Department of Health and Human Services. It's the North Carolina Community Collaboration for Employment. Basically, what they'll be doing is working on identifying the strengths and barriers existing transition services for persons with autism. This is to assist with what happens after high school in employment opportunities as well as educational opportunities. Just a little bit more, there was a study, one particular study, I read about it, it was actually in December of 2021, where they were saying that it's up to $66 billion a year that is spent on children with autism. That's direct services and indirect services. Then when you look at the adult population, it was $175 billion to $196 billion. That's 3 times the cost of what is being spent or the cost of managing autism for youth. So what we want to do is we want to find out, how can we help that community? How can we actually help you and your loved ones? So once again, like I said, I have Glenna and I have Michael, and they are with TEACCH for Autism in Chapel Hill, whoop, whoop, my university. And they are here to share some great insight on how they can help.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's great to be here. I'm going to go ahead and start, and then Mike's going to jump in from time to time too. We're lucky to have the opportunity to work together and learn from each other. And so we do a lot of that kind of sharing information together. And one of the things I just want to start with is to say, just start early. You know, we think about that as a parent. I was thinking about my children being independent from day one. You know, whatever they can do, can I help them to do that more independently, more successfully by themselves? Because that's really the name of the game, right? With any of our children, is we want them to be able to do whatever they can do on their own and more in different places, because that gives them more opportunities at whatever level and in whatever kind of way that they can have those opportunities. So, so start early. Start, you know, thinking about what's my next step? How can my child do more and more by themselves in more and more different settings? And what kind of supports are they going to need to be able to do that? So that's, we advocate that we start talking about transition to adulthood way before students graduate from high school. If we can start preparing them for that transition, they're going to be ready and they're going to be in a better place for that to be a smoother and more comfortable transition, not only for themselves, but for those of us supporting them, teachers, parents, etc. So that's what I think as a foundational approach we want to think about, is earlier is better. And it's not too early. You know, again, thinking about what they can do out in the community by themselves, as well as thinking about really exposing them to a broad variety of different kinds of opportunities when they're younger. One of the things we know research-wise, and we base almost everything we do on research. One of the things we know is that students, individuals who have some sort of a work experience before they graduate from high school are much more likely to be employed quicker after leaving high school, even if they go to college. And college is a wish for a lot of us. I'll also say that some of the resources we're working with are lots of different post-secondary educational programs. So there's lots more doors opening in regard to thinking about university programs, college programs, community college programs, et cetera. So I encourage you to explore. And again, start early exploring what's out there and be aware that things are happening every year. There are new programs and new opportunities for folks in thinking about what happens after high school. I'm going to let Mike jump in now, and then we'll change around a bit.
So I think what Glenna said is true.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
just have two quick questions, Glenna. When you say start early, what is early?
Well, that's exactly
goodness.
what I was going to say. I was going to say the same thing. If you talk to your school, they'll tell you age 14 is when you should start thinking about transition. When I start thinking about transition, I'm going to go back to exactly what Glenn said. The day your child's born, you are teaching your child skills. And so you should be thinking early how those skills are going to translate into something that's going to be meaningful that they can do as independently as possible when they become adults. And so I all those experiences you talked about, yes, take them shopping at 5 years old, all those kind of things. It's that early start that I can't say enough about. So would you say the same thing, Glenna?
Yes, and show them people working. I think the more transparent we can be about all the different opportunities out there, the better. Knowing too that maybe we want our sons or daughters to have a more professional job, but also understanding that they need to get there and that all of us have other jobs that we build to. And the more we understand about the working world, the more prepared they're going to be to enter at whatever level is going to fit for them. And we just don't know what's going to happen. So we encourage you, again, knowing that those first work experiences are often very formative, and they're often at a different kind of job than what we're going to end up in our career path. But, exposing folks and having those opportunities and really learning about what it means to work is so important. So
how engaged should parents be in this process?
Very engaged. I think that to start with, especially since like Mike said, our services are really not lined up with the funding that that is in place now for individuals to be able to get those first work experiences and be supported there. That for right now, we're really having to look at other opportunities with parents exposing their sons or daughters, maybe bringing their sons and daughters to work, or maybe I've heard a lot of parents talk about, and I know I did the same, sharing some of the things that we can do in a volunteer capacity or things like that early on with our sons and daughters. And then thinking about as they're getting older, are there other ways that we can to support them? Maybe it's not us, because we really do want to over time separate ourselves from the support that our sons and daughters receive, but are there peer mentors? Are there opportunities with folks that we know where our son or daughters can get some work experience, and we're not always that mentor? That's another really, really important thing we're finding is build a lot of mentors into your sons and daughters' lives. I was thinking, I was thinking earlier that there was an article I read about 3 R's that are really important with transition. And it is relevance, and thinking about things need to make sense, like Mike said, be meaningful and be things that really can attach to success and being independent and being on your own in adulthood. So relevance, rigor. And a lot of times we don't provide enough rigor, enough challenging experiences. There's a lot of times where we feel like
and coddling.
Yes. So we really need to think about, let's put a little bit of, I call it gently challenge, but a little bit of challenge in there as well. And then the last one is relationships. So we really, again, need to be thinking about mentorships for our sons and daughters, and how do we help them start to develop those relationships? One of the things we say too is that I know I've said the word independence a lot, but really in adulthood, it's about interdependence. Because I don't pump my own gas, I don't fix my car, I don't grow my food. I'm very interdependent on lots of different situations, lots of different people, lots of different organizations. And so we need to start teaching our sons and daughters about how that works and who are the mentors and the helpers in their lives.
And sort of piggyback on that, I think you talk about how involved parents should be. They can't do everything that Glenna just said completely by themselves. They have to be interdependent, and it's daunting. I mean, Glenn and I have been in this world for over 30 years apiece, and I can tell you sometimes I still get confused by what's going on at any given moment when I make a call, making a referral, a reference or something. But the one thing that that I find really helps is I ask. And asking the information. If I don't get the answer I want, or I don't understand it, don't stop there as a parent. Ask somebody else, get that information and say, how does this apply to my child? And how can I make sure that my child has the best opportunity? And that's the one thing I would encourage any parent. And it's scary. I'm not going to lie to you and say it's not scary. I said, but once you do it once or twice, you're going to realize you're going to be a little bit like Kelly here, and you're just going to ask anybody anything, which in the end actually helps.
I totally agree. I totally agree. One of the wisest people I know once told me that one of the best things you can do is ask questions and be curious, and just keep, like Mike said, just keep, trying to ask and figure out and go from person to person. If you don't get an answer that works, try somebody else, try another way, just continuing to reach out and be curious about what can happen. We don't know the answers. And so I've always, thought too, if somebody's telling you this is the answer and that's the only answer, then they probably haven't been in this field very long. Because I think we always answer with, well, in this situation, or this is what we know right now, because things are changing all the time. As I said, there are programs starting up, there are services starting up. We ourselves are constantly tweaking and changing and thinking about new services, et cetera. So continue to explore that.
And the agility is so key, because when you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. So just because a program works for one person, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to work for the next person or even the sibling, So having that versatility. So let me ask you this. Does TEACCH, I know the answer is going to be yes, does TEACCH have programs to assist individuals with that transitioning? Like, can you tell me maybe one of the programs that you have, or one of the services that you have to assist adults with what happens or what they can do post-high school?
Yeah, so Glenna has an entire program that she could spend 3 days talking about, which is a transition program that is absolutely amazing, called the TStep. And I'm not going to step on that, but it's a great college. It's helping students who go to high school and who come out with a typical education or typical diploma, who still struggle in the adult world before they reach the program I'm going to tell you about, which is my employment program. And it helps them be prepared a little bit more for how to succeed in college and how to succeed in employment. I mean, that's kind of what is stepping to employment is what we're talking about. But the employment program and
Hold on, Mike. Tell me once again what the name of the program is. And after you tell me about the program, I need you to give me like the email address or the link or something so that people can access it.
Yep. Go ahead, Glenna.
It's called the TStep, which is an acronym, and we apologize. We try to stay away from acronyms. I think that's a big issue for parents accessing information, is just trying to kind of work through all the acronyms. The TStep stands for the TEACCH School Transition to Employment and Post-Secondary Education Program. Doesn't even fit really well, actually, but that is what our acronym stands for, and it is a quick way to remember the program. And as Mike said, it's a transition to adulthood program that looks at helping individuals to learn skills and strategies that will help them to be successful in adulthood and employment and post-secondary education, as well as community situations. And we see it as we really started the program because we saw a lot of individuals for whom there was limited programming and who still needed supports and needed supports in kind of a different way, though, because these, as Mike said, this is for individuals who have a future core course of study or a typical high school diploma, and typically have average to above average intelligence, which is our newest kind of area of very frequently diagnosed individuals. And that's another thing I would encourage folks to really think about, this group of people in particular who are often missed in thinking about a diagnosis, because they are so smart and so capable in so many ways, but there are some often some social things that are a bit different. There are some communication things that might be a bit different about them that really are barriers for them and are going to probably be things that create challenges for them when they go to college. So we're thinking about, how can we support this particular group of people with keeping in mind they're very intelligent and that they need to know about a lot of the unwritten rules in adulthood, in the college setting and in the employment setting. Things like Mike and I talk about that if your boss walks by and you've got Facebook up on your computer, what do? All of us know kind of the answer to that question, but a lot of times the folks with whom we work don't, because that's an unwritten rule. So that's what the TStep program is about. And the TStep program leads into the employment program, which Mike can share information.
Yeah. So our employment program has been around for over 30 years as well. That's how I got my start at TEACCH, was working in an employment program as a job coach. And now I sort of run the program, and Glenna's been a part of it for a long time as well. But our employment program is in the state of North Carolina, but it doesn't mean we don't have impact around the world. I get calls from companies, from programs, people all over the world asking, how do you do what you do? How can you support us? How can you train us? How can you help us? But the big thing we do in the state of North Carolina, and we currently have 2 big geographical locations. They're kind of in the triangle and in the triad. That's where our current setup is. And then triangle and the triad of North Carolina, we work with helping all adults with autism find jobs. Okay. And so we work with our Department of Vocational Rehabilitation in the state of North Carolina, which pays for our services. So that means families don't oftentimes have to, which is really nice. And then we also work with our Department of Health and Human Services to help provide additional funding. And Department of Health and Human Services also pays for some of the initial training and long-term support that goes along with it. But our whole goal is very much individualized. As you said earlier, what works for one person doesn't work for the other. The buzzword that's going around the world now is customized, integrated employment. Well, that's what we're talking about. It's employment. It's in an integrated setting. It's not in a segregated setting. It's in real communities, in real jobs, making competitive wages. If the person standing next to you does or does not have a disability, it does not matter, but you know that you're making the same wage as them. So that's exactly what we talk about. So it is all about that. So our relationships with employers is what we really pride ourselves on. I tell people, don't be afraid to ask employers. Don't be afraid to go up. Employers are wanting to support people. They need resources, and people on the autism spectrum are without a doubt some of the best employees I've ever seen. And it's recognizing that and preparing them along the way. And that's what we talk about with sort of transition. If you want to know more about our transition services or even the TStep, the one place I'll tell you to go is to go to teach.com. We do spell it a little bit differently. We spell it with 2 C's. So it's TEACCH.com. And there's all kinds of other resources on there, as well as a little bit of information about the ACL grant, as well as some of our other transition services, as well as our clinical and diagnostic services, which go all over the state of North Carolina for families that are looking for support to how to learn to help their son or daughter be more independent, no matter what age they are.
Does this mean that they can be a part of research as well?
Oh, absolutely. It's part of research. Yes. Absolutely. We have a very active research program. The ACL grant, Glenda's, the whole TStep project is under research. There's even a new research project that we will be releasing probably before this video or this podcast hits. It's our BFAST program. It's Black families and providers accessing services together, which is actually helping our Black families sort of access services if they have a child on the autism spectrum, which is something new. We call, like I said, we call it our BFAST. That should be on our Facebook page, I think, by tomorrow afternoon, which is actually 2 days ago by the time this podcast comes out.
Awesome. Awesome. So now, is there another email address or anything like that? Or is it the same? What is the website again? Or, how can they?
Yeah, so it's www.teach.com. And on there are links to contact us. So if you click contact us, it goes to one great big email website. And then we have someone who's monitoring that who'll send it off to the correct location. There are certain links, like example, if you do go to TStep and you click on applying to the TStep, it'll go straight to a TStep clinician's inbox and they'll see it right away. The same as for employment services, it'll come to me as well, and I will see the email that comes in through there. But if you just want a general information, it goes to our group inbox.
And there's lots of other information on our website. There are free webinars on there that we recommend that folks take a look at. There's one on sexuality that's quite good. There's webinars on a variety of things. There's even more information about the TStep program in a short video. So we encourage you to take a look at our website. And as Mike said, we do trainings and consultations all over the world, and are glad to think about opportunities for that, for sharing information.
Excellent, excellent. And Mike, I noticed that you put the information or the contact information in the chat. You were so on it. I love it. I love it. I wanted to just really highlight once again some of the things that you said. You said families need to start early, and early can be, at the time of birth, and for some it's age 14, but the earlier the better. You mentioned you try to access a broad variety of resources within the company or not company, in the community, making sure that kids are exposed to more opportunities and more situations. Because one of the things that I personally have a challenge with is when you teach something to a child in a very sterile environment, and expect them to go outside of that sterile environment with all the environmental stimuli and have the same exact performance. Glenna, you mentioned relevance, rigor, and relationships as a part of being a part of the engagement opportunities or activities. Striving for interdependence. Ask the questions and get the individual information you need for your family, for your children, and once again, customized integrated employment. So you guys mentioned a whole lot of great stuff for people to reference and for them to move forward on with regards to finding out what's best for their individual family. So you guys mentioned that you have over 30 years of experience. Is that over 30 years of experience at Peace?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. I was joking and tell people, I always tell people, I've been working on this since Noah built the ark, but I think you were there before Noah built the ark. It's 30 years of Peace. Listen, thank you so much for everything. Is there anything that you would like to close with before we end this video for our audience?
Oh, I would just like to say we're again, thank you so much for letting us be here. It is World Autism Month, so we're celebrating in lots of different ways, and I feel very lucky to be in this field because I have learned so much about not only thinking differently, but about myself as well. So I just encourage people to continue to be open-minded about all we can learn together, and just really celebrate our differences in lots of different ways.
Yep. I agree. I mean, TEACCH, we've been here for 30 years, but TEACCH is actually celebrating our golden anniversary this year. It's our 50th anniversary of the official founding of TEACCH, although our research project that created TEACCH started in 1965/66. So it's been around a little bit longer than that, but long story short, a long history of involving people with autism, involving families, and then being partnerships in everything we do. And I think that's what makes us a little bit different than other places, is it is a partnership, and we want to work with you, and we want to try our best to help make your life and or your child's life a little bit easier.
I love it. I love it. See, I told you guys TEACCH was phenomenal. That's TEACCH, phenomenal. And also, of course, it started at the Frank Porter Graham School and with the best university out there, UNC Chapel Hill. So thank you guys so much for everything. And once again, we have a new resources. We have greater insight on some new resources that are available. And I hope that you guys will follow up. Thank you so much for everything. Take care.
Thank you.